Wednesdays are for people's elbows, super kicks, and springboard cutters. You know what that means. It's the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast hosted by Michael Davis on Boom Broadcasting, and it's time to pick up that mic. We're picking up the mic today because we want to highlight something that many people overlook. And if you're as upset as I was last week about WWE and basically foregoing their entire story of the summer to rewrite the SummerSlam card, well, you should really look towards your local independent wrestling shows, like the show I'm previewing this weekend is Wrestling Evolution. It's in Shelby, North Carolina. And you might be saying, hey, I follow Boom Broadcasting, I follow Drop the Mic. I do not live anywhere close to Shelby. Well, don't worry, because you can still watch the show and you can still learn about the storylines and the characters, because they do upload their shows on YouTube, and you can't have a product on YouTube without the voice behind it. And so today I wanted to introduce you guys to one of the voices of Wrestling Evolution. It is Tim Dixon. Tim, it's great to have you. And I kind of disagree with your tagline of you knowing best. Is that slight on?
Of course I do. No. It's just it's the fact that I know best. That's just the way it is. I mean, I'm the one that talks all the time usually, so that means I know best. No, that actually that little, I guess, moniker or nickname, I got that, and when I first got it, I really hated it. When I was working for a promotion called NWA Charlotte, the promoters said, you know, you should be like the voice of reason. You should be like the overall voice of everything, and it's like you always know best. And they went, Dixon knows best, and so I was like, okay, that I guess. And they were like, oh no, that's awesome. You need to every time you say your name, you need to say Dixon knows best. So if you go back, and you can still find some of the NWA Charlotte shows online, every time I intro a show, I'm like, this is Dixon knows best, Tim Dixon. And I hated it every time I said it because it seemed stupid to me to say it every time, but they were insistent that I say it every time I say my name. So I fought it for a while, but after a while I just kind of went, you know what? Okay, whatever. And I just went with it. And I still use the email, DixonKnowsBest@gmail.com. You know, now everybody's going to be emailing me stuff that I've given out my email address, but I still use it to this day. So, but at first I hated it, but it stuck after a while. It grew on me.
Now you heard it first. You can sign up for all these e-newsletters and and business inquiries. But we'll see if you know best. And if you guys have not heard of Wrestling Evolution, it is one of my favorite independent shows to go to around the Carolinas, because there is so much intricate storytelling that happens from month to month. And if you didn't know this, Tim Dixon didn't start at Wrestling Evolution. Wrestling Evolution is brand new. It's only been here for, not even that long, couple years, give or take.
Years.
And so, Tim, how did you start in the wrestling business, and what drew you to doing commentary to tell these stories?
Well, I started in the wrestling business in 2005. I actually started, I started by running a show myself. I wanted to raise money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation because my son has cystic fibrosis, and I was a wrestling fan. So I thought, okay, this makes sense. There was a promotion a local promotion that I was watching their TV, and they had a promo that said, hey, if you're looking to raise money for something, give us a call. And so I reached out to them and never heard back from them. What I didn't realize was at the time they were in the process of going out of business. And that's the reason I never heard back from them. But after a while, I just kind of went, you know what? Maybe I could just do it myself. which was probably not the best idea. I probably should have found somebody who knew a little more about the wrestling business and did that. But I went ahead and I put the show on myself, and I've always been in announcing of some type. I went to college for radio and TV broadcasting a long, long time ago, and I've always wanted to. I've always been drawn to play-by-play announcing because it's all about storytelling. You're helping, specifically in wrestling, you're helping the performers in the ring tell that story. So I had done a little bit of announcing here and there. Over the years, I've done regular sports announcing. I've done baseball. I've done lacrosse, soccer, different stuff at like the college level. But in 2005, when I was going to do that first wrestling show, I was like, okay, here's my opportunity. I'm doing the show, so I'm making the call. I'm doing play-by-play. And so I did that, and it was not good. It was not good. It makes me cringe when I look back at it now. But it was a start. And then in about 2008, I started working for a promotion in Forest City, North Carolina, called Southern Wrestling Association. And we did shows. We recorded the shows, and I produced those on DVD, and we would sell them at the shows. So I did that for a while. Then I left SWA and went to NWA Charlotte, which NWA Charlotte, it didn't last very long, unfortunately, but it was a big flash in the pan kind of. We made a big impact because we started out in our first show. I think we probably drew about 500 people. So that was huge.
That's pretty good. Yeah, for first show.
Good. And the thing was, we were in one of the few places where those initials still meant something. And this was before NWA Power, which is going now as an ongoing concern. In 2009, when we started NWA Charlotte, there was nothing really going on. So it had become like the NWA had just kind of become an afterthought. But I told the guys who started the promotion, you're in one of the few places, Charlotte is one of the few places where those initials still mean something. The NWA has a lot of history here in the South and specifically in Charlotte. So that was a big deal. So this was a new NWA promotion in NWA Charlotte, so it was right in town. It was a big deal. And on the first show we had, we never had, honestly, I was always hoping that we'd have the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship, but we never did, unfortunately. We had a #1 contender match. We had Adam Pearce versus Brett Albright for the #1 contender.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a great match. And then that, like I said, unfortunately didn't last long. Honestly, we lasted, I think, maybe 6 months doing 2 shows a month. So it burned out really quickly. But it was a lot of fun. It was an opportunity for me to dig more into production. And really, like, I did SWA, but when I was there, I honestly was just recording the show that was already going on. At NWA Charlotte, I approached it as, okay, here's what we need to do for TV. Here's what we need to do to make it look good on camera. And I approached it differently there, and I was able to kind of take a different approach to it. At the time, I was working at a local TV station in Charlotte. I worked for 16 or 17 years in local TV, so I have that background, and I know production. I know how to handle on camera stuff. So I was able to really, when we did NWA Charlotte, I was really able to come at it from that point of view to go, okay, here's how we need to shoot it. Here's how we need to stack the show to get what we needed in a sequential show that was going to go on the internet. And then after it imploded, I worked for another NWA. It wasn't really a promotion. It was kind of a being. I don't know if you've ever heard about the NWA Fan Fest that they used to have in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. Right after NWA Charlotte ended, Greg Price, the guy who ran the Fan Fest, decided he was going to do some shows there, and it was called NWA New Beginnings. And he had me come in and do play-by-play for that. And I did get the opportunity to not just call a World's Heavyweight Championship match. I got to call a NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship title change. When it went from Blue Demon to Adam Pearce in Charlotte, I called the match. And that is something for a kid who grew up watching the NWA here in North Carolina. That was a huge deal for me. And even a bigger deal was Tully Blanchard was the booker for that show.
Wow.
So I was, and this, you'll get a chuckle out of this. I was backstage before we were getting ready to go out, and we're talking about what was going to happen at the end of the show and how it was going to go down. So he lays out everything to me, and I go, okay, all right, I've got it. I said, I'll get it over for you. And he goes, I know you will. And he had like a little notebook in his hand. He goes, I know you will. And he kind of tapped me on the chest. And the 8-year-old kid inside me was like, ooh, Tully Blanchard believes in me. So it was, now the intellectual part of me is like, Tully Blanchard doesn't know you from Adam. He's just trying to pump you up to get you ready to go out there. But the 8-year-old kid in me was like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks, sir. And I go to head out to do it. But yeah, I did get the opportunity to call World Heavyweight Championship title reign, or a title change. Wow. Unfortunately, I can't find the footage anywhere. It's
okay, you're going to hype that up and be like, nah. I know.
It's kind of the thing. Like, okay, and I do this anytime I talk about it on a podcast or anything. It's like, okay, the follow-up to that is, if anybody knows where it's at, please tell me, because I want to watch it again. I want to be able to see it, because I would love to be able to have it and see it again. But yeah, as far as I know, it's not out there anywhere. It was live streamed. If I remember correctly, it was live streamed, but I don't know if they like produced it on DVD or anything and put it out there.
You know how the old saying goes, if you didn't take the picture, it didn't happen.
I know. So, yeah, that sucks. That sucks. So
Tim Dixon here telling fibs on the Drop the Mic podcast. No,
but if you can't prove it didn't happen, then it did. So
you know, I'll give you that one. No, it's so cool to hear how your fandom led you to where you are, and from starting a show back in 2005, which is actually the first time I attended a show was January 2005. I was a little over 6 at the time, and the main event of that show was Dusty Rhodes versus Tully Blanchard, and I was rooting for Tully, by the way.
Was that of course heels were always better. Was that one of Tony Hunter's shows up in where did he run those? He ran a lot of shows with Dusty and Tully.
This one was in Lenore at the Mulberry Rec Center.
Yeah,
so
he used to run a lot of shows like that with Dusty and Tully. Yeah, I remember when he used to run those shows. Yeah.
So that was my first show. Midnight and Rock and Roll were on that card. I was on the playground when Dusty was like walking in the back, and he was being accompanied by future WWE champion, his son, Cody Rhodes, at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And that was, I believe that was before he ever started training too. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Tully Blanchard, a part of both of our stories. And
Yeah.
so heels are always better. Horsemen do matter in
Oh
Charlotte, and
yeah.
so does the NWA. But it's interesting, like you were trying to call shows, especially with like telling the stories of these independent wrestlers, like on a bi-weekly basis. Well, you're doing the commentary with Ivan M. Righteous right now for Wrestling Evolution. You guys generally run once a month, and
Mm-hmm.
you've started to expand to different places. You're going to be in Shelby, North Carolina this weekend for the No Limit show. But Tim, when you and Ivan have your commentary out on YouTube, and I'm seeing it get a lot of views, people are finding the product and find what you guys are doing. We've had the likes of Jaquan McNair, who's now known as Jakari Ball with WWE Evolve. We've had Sean Legacy, who is also with
Mm-hmm.
WWE now. You guys have shown that Wrestling Evolution has been home for people's evolution in the
Mm-hmm.
business. And I'm very, very excited for the show you are putting on this weekend, as I have been for the last several months. And I think the storytelling is on point. I know it's an honor for you to call those matches. And I mean, maybe in 15 years, you're like, hey, I've called this match, and you're seeing them in whatever role with, like an Adam Pearce, who has made his way up to WWE as one of the big authority figures for Monday Night Raw. But one of the major things I wanted to cover right now is the Allen brothers, because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you can't really cue people into what's been going on in Wrestling Evolution without talking about the Allen brothers. There's four of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's Justin Kindred Allen, there's Mason Allen, there's Robert Allen, and there's Steve Allen. So those four collided in a civil war a few months back. And to this day, not only one of the best matches I've seen in person, but one of the best blow off matches I've seen in person. If people don't really understand what a blow off match is, it's when you're really getting excited and you reach the climax and the peak of a feud. And that match delivered on all levels. And most of all, if we don't talk about anything else, which we'll talk a lot about this weekend show, how was it for you to call the Civil War and trying to give perspective to somebody who may have been tuning into Wrestling Evolution for the first time?
Yeah, and that is something, that's the way I approach when I'm calling a match like that, because you can't assume that somebody has been watching and has seen everything. Even if they're a regular watcher, they may have missed an episode. They may have missed something that happened. So that's my job, is to go, okay, here's what's happened. Here's what this is what has led us to this. And I think that is the best way to put it, is that's the blow off. That's the end of the story. And that was, what had led us there was they came in, and they were the first, Robert and Steve were the first tag team champions. And Justin and Mason helped them to get that. And as things went on, we saw Justin on the kind of the receiving end of a lot of abuse in the whole relationship, to where he was the one that would take a bullet for Robert and Steve or Mason, and he would take the punishment and they would get the accolades. So it got to the point to where Justin was finally standing up for himself. And I would say that to this day is probably one of the biggest crowd reactions that we've ever had in Wrestling Evolution, was when Justin finally stood up for himself and faced off with his brother Mason Allen for the Legacy Championship and won the Legacy Championship. Mason hadn't been defeated in over a year. He was 19-0, and he had held the Legacy Championship for a year. And Justin defeated him even over the interference of Robert and Steve. And I would still say that's one of the biggest reactions that we've ever had from the crowd. When they went absolutely nuts when Justin won that belt. And you can go back and you could, I don't know the episode right off the top of my head, but if you go back and find that episode, you can hear my voice crack when I'm talking about Justin when he won that belt, because he pinned Mason, he rolled over, and he holds his hands up and he goes, "I did it." And that, even now, just talking about it, that is a story that we told, and everybody can get into that story. Everyone can and understand that story, because everybody's been in a spot before where they felt like they were picked on, or they were told that they couldn't do it. And he didn't, and to go a little outside of the, like behind the camera a little bit, Justin himself wasn't quite sure that he could pull it off. And when it happened and it turned out the way we wanted it to, and the crowd went as crazy as they did for it, it affected me, not just as an announcer telling the story. It affected me, Tim Dixon, because I was so proud of that kid, and he put his all into that, and he did such a great job telling that story that it was a big deal. And then to lead from that into Mason coming to the aid of Justin at some point, and then we had the two groups, Robert and Steve on this side, Justin and Mason on this side, and it inevitably leads to the Allentown Civil War match, which was absolutely insane. It was a great end to the story. And honestly, again, to go a little behind the camera, it wasn't supposed to be the blow off. It wasn't supposed to end the story, but it was so perfect
that you had to end there.
We had to go, okay, yep, you can't get any better than that. So, and that's the thing, you have to look at stuff like that and make that decision.
And one of the things that I really appreciate about Wrestling Evolution is, when you talk about Justin, he's a great guy. If you have never gotten the opportunity to meet Justin Kindred Allen, what's great about Wrestling Evolution is his doors open at 6, and you can see a lot of the talent out there sign autographs at their merch table, but you can just go have a conversation. And Justin's one of those people who are more than open to a conversation. So you get to first meet the superstars when the doors open at 6, and then see them in the ring. And when you see somebody who overcomes, like Justin, in a relatable story, and we love stories as human beings, and wrestling provides that outlet to get invested in somebody else's story. It just makes it more worthwhile when you can actually go up face to face, shake their hand, get a picture, get to meet the people you're going to see later on in the evening. But that also in turn made Robert and Steve two of the most hated people in Wrestling Evolution. And after the Civil War is what I really want to get to, is because they kind of, I'm just going to be honest, they kind of tucked their tail between their legs and ran off and quit. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out. And one of the most recent shows, if you missed this, by the way, you can go back and watch on YouTube and close your ears for the next 2 minutes as I give spoilers. But
well, it's not up yet. It'll be up in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks
it was when that one will air.
So really cover your ears. But
really cover your ears.
I really cover your ears. They came back, and they not only returned with a vengeance, but they left that night as the new Wrestling Evolution Tag Team Champions. Best in hustle and flow and outsmarting everybody. Tim, I didn't know if they would be able, because they've already been tag team champions, and they won the Civil War. So I was like, okay, like what's next for them? But after they left with the tag team titles at the recent show, I went, oh, have we just scratched the surface with what they can do, especially in Wrestling Evolution?
Yeah, the Allen brothers, Allentown in general, which Allentown is like all four of them, but the Allen brothers, Robert and Steve, have been a fixture. All of them have been a fixture of Wrestling Evolution since almost the very beginning. If I remember correctly, they were on, it was either the second or third show, and they have been on almost every one since then. There's been a couple shows that they haven't done, but they have been. There's been at least one Allen on every show. I'll say that since they debuted. Robert and Steve were the very first Wrestling Evolution Tag Team Champions, and now they are the first ever two-time champions of any type in Wrestling Evolution history. Now that they've won the Tag Team Championships again. So that right there cements them as honestly one of the pillars of the company, and cements their place in history, in Wrestling Evolution history, absolutely, because it's and deservedly so, because you're not going to find a better, like, well-oiled machine of a tag team than the Allen brothers. They are absolutely incredible in the ring. They are a fearsome tag team, and if they would just stop throwing their clothes on me at ringside, then
I feel so
we'd
bad for
be
you when that
okay.
happens.
I'll forget about it and think, okay, they're not going to do it this time. And then Steve did this a couple shows ago. He snuck out of the ring, walked around to where I was sitting. I was looking this way, and here it comes. All of a sudden, hits me in the side of the head. So, yeah, they absolutely are one of the best tag teams out there today in independent wrestling. They're showing up more and more places in the Southeast. They just made their debut on Ring of Honor. So that hasn't aired yet, but they have taped it. So they are starting to get more notice, and rightfully so, because they're one of the best teams out there.
And this is another reason you should come to places like Wrestling Evolution, or if you're not in the surrounding area, if you're listening to us in Canada or California, which actually I know a couple people who do try to keep up
That's
with Boom
awesome.
Broadcasting around the globe. You guys can go watch Wrestling Evolution on YouTube. I mean, if you're watching Boom Broadcasting on YouTube, you can just pop on
Just go
over
right
under
over
the
there. Yep.
podcasts, hit the subscribe button. It'll tell you when a new show drops. But you can't tell the story about Wrestling Evolution without teams like the Allen brothers. And I'm very interested to see what they do moving forward. They'll be defend their titles against Exodus this weekend at No Limits in Shelby, North Carolina. But there's a couple other groups you can't really tell, especially the current landscape of Wrestling Evolution, without, and that is one of them being the Hustle Collective and the other being the Drip. Real quick, the Hustle Collective, and we've talked a little bit about Justin Kindred Allen. He's going up against Elliot Shock, who has aligned himself with James R. Hustle, and Justin Kindred Allen obviously going at it alone. James R. Hustle is always one to, bend the rules a little bit and find his windows of opportunity. And yeah, we'll call it shenanigans.
Yeah.
With Elliot Shock, he's already a good enough performer to where he doesn't necessarily need James Hustle. Like, I'd love to see Justin Kindred Allen and Elliot Shock just one-on-one without James R. Hustle anywhere close. But with Hustle and Elliot together, is that just like a diabolical pairing?
I think absolutely that the two of them, and you have to be honest when you talk about the Hustle Collective, that right now they're hurting a little bit. because Bash Caliban lost the Legacy Championship, the last show, to Dre the Goat, and has left the collective. He's left the Hustle Collective. So Hustle must be hurting right now a little bit. So he does still have Elliott Shock in the fold, so to speak. And I think they absolutely make a diabolical pair because, like you said, Elliott Shock is formidable enough on his own, both in the ring and on the mic. But then you throw Hustle in there as well, and it's a formidable pair with the two of them. And although they came about it by basically stealing it, Elliott Shock is in possession of the Ascension contract, which gives him a title shot at any point that he wants to cash it in. So he has an opportunity that he could go for any of the belts in Wrestling Evolution at any point. So it's not only are they a formidable pair, they're really dangerous right now to any champion that's out there. So the Hustle Collective lost the Legacy Championship, but Elliott Shock could win it back at any point. He could get it back for the collective. So that's something you have to watch. You can't just watch Elliott Shock in his one match. You also have to keep an eye on the entryway when something's happening, because he could come in at any point and cash in that Ascension contract.
And that's a great point too, because if you have the Ascension contract, the obvious route is, why not go for the big one? Why not go for the Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Championship, which is held by Reyhan Inteus right now? And we'll preview that match against Treehouse Lee a little later on this episode. But I mean, James R. Hustle is pretty prideful, and if anything, Dre the Goat just poked holes in James R. Hustle and his self-identity. And it was just funny to watch, all the fallout on social media, online. We had a whole wrestlers court with Dre the Goat and James R. Hustle. And I mean, Dre the Goat got suspended. He's out there handing out like, please reinstate me. Please sign this petition.
Reinstate Dre the Goat.
Yep. And Dre the Goat won his first title at Wrestling Evolution. He's the Legacy champion. He's defending the title against Grant Kissel. But yeah, there's still this lingering Dre the Goat and James R. Hustle. Tim, could you see a scenario where James R. Hustle gets in Elliott Shock's ear and he's like, hey, I can't call him Bash Caliban anymore. I need you to go avenge me against Dre the Goat?
I think absolutely we could see that. That is something that could easily happen. Like you said, he's a prideful man, and he has a big problem with Dre the Goat. The reason Dre the Goat was suspended in the first place is because he kept stealing stuff from Hustle. He kept stealing his hat.
A hat.
So, but it turned out Dre had a little deeper of a problem, because this episode airs Friday on YouTube, so you can see all of this. But he when he had to he had to talk to CEO Tim Wilcox to get reinstated. It turns out he had a lot more stuff that he had acquired that we didn't know about. It wasn't just the hats. He had a deeper problem, but he's worked through that now. So hopefully that's behind him now. But yeah, he went from suspended to reinstated to a champion, all in the matter of like a half hour.
That's impressive in of itself, by the way. But he's got no slouch as an opponent. So I know we're watching James R. Hustle and potentially Elliott Shock with the Ascension contract, but Dre the Goat is wrestling Grant Kissel. I want to throw it out here. If you guys are going to be in attendance in Shelby, North Carolina for the first time, or if you're just starting to watch their content on YouTube, Grant reminds me a lot of Eddie Guerrero. And it may be the mullet, it may be the
That's part
mustache,
of it.
but more importantly, I want people to watch the aggression and no pun intended to
No pun
Wrestling
intended.
Evolution,
Yep.
but I want people to watch how aggressive he is in the ring, and the same intensity that Eddie Guerrero wrestled with, Grant has. And I have been more impressed with Grant than any newcomer here to Wrestling Evolution, personally.
Yeah, the pistol Grant Kistel lives up to that name. He comes in and and I think you make a very good point. He does remind me of a heel Eddie Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he was before the lie, cheat, steal. The heel Eddie Guerrero was one of the most aggressive wrestlers out there, and that I think you really get that from Grant, and he has that feeling to it. He is very intense. He's one of the most intense competitors in Wrestling Evolution. He is incredible to watch, and I really think there's kind of no limit to what he can do in Wrestling Evolution, because he's got a chance now for the Legacy Championship. He can see what he can do there. But yeah, I think he's got a bright future in Wrestling Evolution and beyond. But yeah, he is. I think you make a great point. Might be a little bit of the mullet, might be the mustache, but he also has that intensity that a heel Eddie Guerrero had. And anytime you're being compared to Eddie Guerrero, that's incredible. That's incredible. So yeah, he's one of the better young superstars in Wrestling Evolution.
And that's what I love about Wrestling Evolution is you don't get all the people who have went and, reached the heights that a lot of wrestlers on the independents aspire to be, but you can go see people before they are on your TVs, and you can actually see them evolve in the industry. So Dre the Goat versus Grant the Pistol Kistel for the Legacy Championship this weekend at No Limits. We'll see if there's any limit to Grant this weekend at least, and that'll be at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds in Shelby, North Carolina. But I mentioned another group that you can't really tell the Wrestling Evolution story without, and that's the Drip. But before I bring up who is currently in the Drip, one of the biggest stories around is and I got to put some stank on it, or he's going to be on to me. The Dante Khalifa really had a long reign with the Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Championship, and it kind of came crumbling down. Reyhan Inteus emerged, won the title, one of the biggest moments in Wrestling Evolution history. And I've been following Reyhan for years and years. Got a couple good stories with him, but I'll save that for another time. But after losing the title, he loses everything. He loses the Drip. He loses the support. And now he's kind of fighting on his own. Do you feel like we're seeing the Dante Khalifa in a sense of he's doing it on his own, and he's actually proving that he can very well hold his own?
I think absolutely that sums it up perfectly, because he is on his own, and he got to where he held the Wrestling Evolution Championship for a year, and there were times that he retained due to the help of the Drip. But towards the end of his reign, he got to where he didn't want there. He would send them to the back, and he would tell them that he didn't want that. He wanted to face someone one-on-one, and he wanted to win like that. So you saw a little bit of, no pun intended, an evolution of Dante to where he was wanting to take it on himself. And now he is in that spot, because like you said, when he lost the last man standing match to Reyhan Inteus, and lost the Wrestling Evolution Championship, the Drip turned their back on him. And we didn't see him for a couple of months. But when he did come back, the Drip is firmly in his sights, and specifically the Drip in general, but in particular Brino Ali is the target that he's looking for. He has yet to get his hands on Brino. Even they were in a multi-man match this past show. We thought, okay, we're gonna get it. We're gonna see the two of them actually tie up, and they never did. So he still has yet to get his hands on Brino, because Brino is the man that usurped his power and took over the Drip from him. And he had been the leader of the Drip from day one. So that's something that has to bug a man like Dante, even though he's fine to leave the Drip and go away from them and do things on his own.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something when you get left laying in the middle of the ring, that's not something you forget. And he's coming back to get a hold of Brino and Ben Grayson as well.
Yeah, you never can forget about Ben Grayson. He can be a snake, but it's okay. Not really.
All the homies hate Ben Grayson.
We do. We're seeing more and more of that on social media, but not only is Dante Khalifa in singles action, you bring up Sabrina Ali. He's going to be in a match against Sexy Gouda. We know the Drip's going to be around because Sabrina wants the help. He's not going to push them away.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
I'm glad you brought this point up because I wanted to ask you, Dante Khalifa, he was the money man for the Drip. He was able to ascend to the opportunity to be the Wrestling Evolution heavyweight champion. And now with Sabrina Ali kind of getting that opportunity, do you feel like he's emerging as the go-to guy for the Drip? And does Sabrina Ali give them the opportunity to bring the heavyweight championship back to Wrestling Evolution?
I think it absolutely could happen. He has made he's made it clear that is his intention, but at the same time, he's made it clear that he wants to bring the rest of the Drip up with him. He that is a claim that they made about Dante after they turned their back on him, is that Dante was only focused on keeping himself up here and them down here. I don't know if that is actually true but that is their claim. And Brino calls everyone else in the Drip the generals. That's the way he looks at them. Tommy Okami, Chase Coleman, and like you said, we'll have to talk about the new configuration of the Drip, because there's a new member, Xavier Young. The extraordinary Xavier Young has now joined the Drip, which was a surprise.
Yeah,
a huge surprise.
I was going to ask if, like, did you see that coming? Like,
honestly,
Xavier
no,
Young,
because they had made it clear over several months that they were interested in him, and that he could join the Drip, and it would bring him to a new level. But he had made it clear he had no interest, or we thought he had made it clear that he had no interest. Even at one point, flipping off Ben Grayson in the ring as Ben offered a handshake, and he flipped off Grayson and then took off to the back. So it seemed like the answer was a resounding no. But we found out that wasn't the case. And it was just one more instance of Xavier coming in and again attacking Dante. It's just one more instance of Dante thinking he had a one-on-one shot at Brino, and then something pulls the rug out from under his feet. And that's something. Dante hasn't won a match in Wrestling Evolution since the month before he lost the title. So September of 2025 is the last time he won a match.
If you guys are doing any math, that's 10 months. That's almost a full year without a victory. And obviously he took a couple months off. And that doesn't mean that Dante Khalifa is a slouch in the ring, because he is one of the top talents in Wrestling Evolution. It's a lot more outside.
Yeah, because
antics.
we've seen Brino come in 2 different times and attack his opponent so that Dante gets disqualified.
Which is genius, by the way. That's a Ben Grayson move.
Exactly, that's exactly it. It's a Ben Grayson move because Dante then loses the match, and he's robbed of the opportunity to have a straight one-on-one match. And it just sets up inside your head, and as Grayson would say, they're living rent-free in there. And he's always thinking about the drip, and that is what they're doing. That the drip is known for the mind games, and that's what they're doing.
Well, that's going to set up very nicely for Reyhan. If you're listening, you might get a free victory this weekend in Shelby. So with the drip and Xavier Young is teaming up with Tommy Okami to face Hustle and Flow, who are probably going through a whole range of emotions with losing their tag team titles to Robert and Steve. And then Xavier, we'll see how he and Tommy work together as a tag team. But is there a power struggle still between the Ugly Gang and the Drip? Because at the end of the day, yeah, Dante Khalifa lost the title to Reyhan Inteus, but really it became the Drip losing the title when Ben Grayson is trying any way possible to get that title and the power that comes along with it back in the grasp of the Drip.
That's absolutely, yeah, there's absolutely a power struggle between the Ugly Gang and the Drip, because even though Hustle and Flow has lost the tag team championships to the Allens, the Ugly Gang still holds the Wrestling Evolution Championship. The Drip wants the gold, period. That's all there is to it. So yes, they're definitely coming after them. And for a while we saw Hustle and Flow being attacked. We later found out that it was the Allens that had done it. But honestly, I thought it was the Drip all along, because it made sense. They wanted the tag team championships. So if you had asked me at any point before the Allens were revealed as the attackers, I would have told you clear. Oh yeah, it's a clear case. It's the Drip. No question.
Yeah, I could see that making sense. But yeah, Allen brothers pull the wool over both of our eyes, and many others. So again, that episode is going to be up here soon, next coming weeks on Wrestling Evolution's YouTube channel, which you'll be able to watch. And yeah, again, if you're watching Drop the Mic on YouTube's Boom Broadcasting channel, just go over and subscribe to Wrestling Evolution as well. And these subscriptions are free. So if you're finding us other ways, just hit that subscribe button on both channels. It supports the content that we try to bring you. And so we mentioned it a little bit, but the power is more in the Ugly Gang, even though they lost the Wrestling Evolution Tag Team Championships. But Reyhan, a.k.a. Little Ray, is still the Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Champion. He defends the title this weekend against Treehouse Lee. It's a new challenger, so Reyhan, I'm sure, is doing as much homework as he can on that. But Tim, just pulling the curtain back a little bit on this, I've been a huge fan of Reyhan. I have seen him and originally found him through a promo on Facebook. And I was like, you know when somebody cuts a promo in wrestling and you're immediately drawn to that character, the emotion they pull in, and it was a darker character at the time. And I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. Like, as somebody who huge fan of the likes of Bray Wyatt and how he could also draw you in with a promo, I saw the same with him. And so when I came into Wrestling Evolution and started working behind the scenes on the production team as a camera operator, and I saw Reyhan was there, and I saw how he could connect to the crowd enough for them to go buy oatmeal cream pies from Walmart, their local grocery store, a lot of them, just for the opportunity to throw oatmeal cream pies at Reyhan, I was like, this is another level of what I've ever seen him before. And now he's the face of the Wrestling Evolution brand. And in my personal opinion, he has earned every right to be. And
Oh,
that's no
absolutely.
disrespect to anybody else on the roster, but he just adds a different element to a Wrestling Evolution show. What are you making of his title run so far?
Reyhan is one of the most creative people that I've ever worked with. He is,
Hmm.
again, with the, like you said, with the curtain pulled back a little bit. He is one, like I said, one of the most creative people that I've ever worked with. He and I will bounce ideas off of each other. I had an idea one time to do a promo in it, that's the thing. If you don't know Reyhan, there are like 6 different characters inside Reyhan's head. So
So
you've
insane,
got,
by the way. Split
yes, you've got,
personality right there.
yes, absolutely. You've got Reyhan Inteus, who is the cream pie poppy. Then you've got Montana Black, which is the
That's how
monster.
that's who I originally met. And when I was
Yeah,
drawn into that promo, I was like, I'm scared, but I want to know more.
yeah. And that was the thing. I came up with an idea. It was actually the morning of a show. I was getting ready to head to the venue to start setting up, and I had this idea of nothing but darkness and Reyhan flicking a lighter so that every once in a while it would just light up his face. And I said, okay, here's what this is the visual that I want. Complete darkness, you flicking a lighter, and you talking about Dante and the drip, which was what was going on at the time. And then you turn into Montana. And Montana wears a mask. So that was the thing. He's flicking the lighter as he's talking, and then he flicks the lighter one last time, and he's wearing the mask. And as soon as I knew with him, I could tell him, okay, here's what this is the visual I'm looking for. He immediately went, okay. And he had the promo in his head. He had it all laid out in his head, and we went and shot that, and it looked beautiful. It was absolutely awesome. So to have somebody who understands visual storytelling and character development and is willing to do crazy crap like that, because there's times I've come up with an idea and I've gone to a guy and go, okay, here's what I want to do, and they don't get it. And if they don't get it, it's probably not going to work that well because they're not able to really get into it. But to have somebody like Reyhan, who is crazy creative, and you mentioned Bray Wyatt. That's another. He reminds me of Bray Wyatt a lot because he's got all these crazy ideas. And so, like I said, you've got Reyhan Inteus, you've got Montana Black, you've got little Ray, who is an 8-year-old kid, I think. We just saw Ray compete against Trayvon Ali at our last show.
Can I stop you right there? That was the only time we've ever seen Lil Ray compete in a ring ever. Like Wrestling Evolution was Lil Ray's debut. If you watch Reyhan Inteus, if you watch Montana Black, and then you watch Lil Ray, it was a masterclass. And
crazy.
Just to give him credit, some wrestlers, and I'm not a wrestler, I could probably never do this. Some wrestlers have a hard time figuring out who their character is sometimes. But Reyhan has figured out 3 characters and figured them out beautifully.
Oh, there's more in there.
And there's more. So
there's more in there.
I'm amazed at the stuff he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ray was, I wasn't to be honest, I wasn't sure how Ray was going to work. But it was hilarious. It was a ton of fun, and it ended up being a fun little match. And a lot of that credit goes to Trayvon Ali, who is who he wrestled in that match. It was a ton of fun. So it's one of those things that, like, you have instances like that you can do every once in a while that just create a fun moment. And that's perfect for Reyhan. But yeah, I have been hit with so many oatmeal cream pies because when he comes out, he does his pose at the beginning. Everybody throws the oatmeal cream pies, and our announce table is right there at the ring. So everybody throwing them in the ring, they come right over our head. We've started bringing a golf umbrella to protect ourselves because we got hit with so many cream pies. It was getting ridiculous. So
I've been hit with a few, and
oh yeah, I'm sure
it's it's all the time. So I'll be holding the camera and I'll be like, okay, and then I'm like,
yep.
But you can have these great moments where, yeah, if you want to go to Walmart and buy you a $3-4 pack of oatmeal cream pies, depending on inflation of groceries, you can go do that and throw as many oatmeal cream pie. If you get the king size, just remember to slide me one for later.
There's plenty. There's plenty around. There's plenty to go around after they throw them in there. So,
but we will see, as far as I know, Reyhan Inteus, like the Reyhan versus Treehouse Lee this weekend in Shelby. But one thing with Wrestling Evolution, and I know we're closing on our hour, Tim, if you're okay, going a few extra minutes, because I cannot talk about Wrestling Evolution without talking about how Wrestling Evolution is evolving. I believe it was at the most recent show that the other Tim Wilcox, the CEO, he brought up how Wrestling Evolution is going to be evolving this year and brought up a women's championship. And we're having a tournament and a qualifying match this weekend with Alexis Celine versus Emily Locke. And Tim, you've been with this promotion from the get-go, and you've seen how it's evolved in so many different ways. Why is it important for Wrestling Evolution to bring about an entire women's division to the forefront in your company?
I think it's desperately important. I think the women's wrestling deserves a spotlight. It deserves an equal spot on the card, just like men's wrestling. There is a ton of female wrestlers around here that are incredible workers, and we've seen a lot of them in Wrestling Evolution. And they need to be showcased, and they need to have that spotlight. And Wrestling Evolution needs that as well, because like you said, again, no pun intended, as we evolve, we need to look at that and what are we missing as an organization, and what should we be focusing on. And we have had a women's match here and there, but we've never had them anything to work towards. And they should have that. They should have every opportunity, just like a male wrestler in Wrestling Evolution. So bringing out the Wrestling Evolution Women's Championship, I think, is a huge step in the right direction. And I'm very excited because we're going to see a lot more talent in our tournament. Every member of our tournament hasn't appeared in Wrestling Evolution before. So we've had some incredible ladies compete in Wrestling Evolution. These are all new people. But then at the same time, those people who the ladies who have been here before are going to go, wait a minute, why didn't I get a shot? So there you've got it all set up to where they can come back and they can take their shot at the Wrestling Evolution Women's Championship after the fact.
I was going to ask, because I did notice that with the tournament, there's nobody we've seen before. So we're brand new to Alexis Celine. We're brand new to Emily Locke. but we've had Savannah Evans before, even challenge Reyhan
Several times.
Inteus for the Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Championship. We've seen,
and she challenged for the Legacy Championship when Mason held it as well.
we've had Amanda Kiss on the show. We've had Leah Knight on the show. Like, these are 3 of the top women's wrestlers in the Carolinas, period. Honestly,
And
3 of the
Caitlin
best
Marie.
wrestlers. Caitlin
Yeah.
Marie is another one. So why did they not get the opportunity to, be in this tournament?
I think something that Wilcox wanted to focus on is the land of opportunity.
Mm.
This tournament is about new dimensions to it, and this is a new opportunity, and so that's what he wanted to focus on. There is giving opportunity to people who haven't been here, as he calls Wrestling Evolution is the land of opportunity, and this is what it is. This is what he's opening up to. But again, like I said, there's nothing that says the first title defense can't be Caitlin Marie or Leah Knight or Amanda Kiss, or even if you go a little farther back in our history, Lexi Steele. She was a staple of our early shows. Lexi Steele was on a ton of shows. So yeah, there's plenty of Brittany Jade and Mila Johnson were both on shows. So yeah, there's so many opportunities out there, and this tournament gives opportunity to new names, but there's nothing to say that the names we've seen before can't come back.
And that's a great point. And I feel like you go back into your record books and seeing the people who have competed, and we've just mentioned around 6, if we gave a rough estimate, but there's 8 women in this tournament. All of a sudden you double your women's division and people you can call in to show up at a Wrestling Evolution show and have a championship to challenge for that is for that division. So it is going to be a great tournament. I am excited to see what happens. But Tim, I appreciate you staying on a few extra minutes. I appreciate everybody listening as well. But Tim, I want to hold you accountable for predictions. We do this with any premium live event or pay-per-view that we cover. And I just want rapid fire picks and nobody be very aggressive towards Tim for not picking you. I am putting the gun to the head right here and saying, hey, you have to do rapid fire picks. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I'm going to go with the first match is obviously for the Women's Championship Tournament qualifying match, Alexis Celine and Emily Locke.
This one is a tough one for me. I honestly, I don't know. Again, this is the land of opportunity. These are their first time being here. So I don't know a ton about either one of them. I know that Emily Locke is from Florida, and I believe Alexis is from closer to the area, but I don't know a ton about either one. So honestly, it's hard for me to make a prediction on that one. My prediction is it's going to be a good fight.
Wow. Okay.
You can call that a cop out if you want. I'll accept that.
Well, you know Justin Kindred Allen and Elliott Shock. What are your predictions there?
I think, unfortunately, I'm a little unsure where Justin's head is right now. That is, he seemed like the last couple times we've seen him, he's not quite sure of himself. For a while, Robert and Steve were gone, and Mason, unfortunately, Mason is injured right now, so he's kind of been by himself, and so I'm not quite sure where his head is. And then on the other side, you've got Elliott Shock, who's on a big surge, and along with the Hustle Collective, with Hustle in his corner, I think, unfortunately, I think Justin may take the L on this one. And I just hope that Justin can get his get himself figured out and get his head on straight.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if Justin's dealing with anything behind the scenes as he prepares for Elliott, who again is dangerous, and then James R. Hustle just makes it again a diabolical pairing.
Yeah.
What about some tag team action? We got Hustle and Flow, the former tag team champions, against the Drip, Xavier Young and Tommy Okami teaming together.
It's going to be interesting to see how Okami and Xavier Young operate as a tag team. This will be the first time we've seen Xavier Young as part of the Drip, and see how they get along. Tommy Okami has been part of the Drip since the inception of the group. So you have to wonder, okay, is Tommy, as the veteran in the group, in charge of this tag team, or is the new guy Xavier? How's that going to work out? How's that dynamic going to work? And then on the other side, Hustle and Flow, that's got to be in their head that they lost. And we've seen a couple of messages from Hustle and Flow where Jordan, particularly, Jordan's head is not in a good spot. As a matter of fact, he said he didn't want to come back to Wrestling Evolution unless it was for the tag team championships. So hopefully he'll show up. Hopefully Jordan will be there for the match, and hopefully his head will be in the right spot. If his head is in the right spot, you're very hard pressed to find a better tag team out there than Hustle and Flow. They were tag team champions for close to a year, and like I said, if they're on the same page and they've got everything together, then it's hard to find a better tag team. But I think I would give the nod in this one to the Drip, and what puts me over there is, no pun intended, the X factor of Ben Grayson at ringside.
That would be quite the test, but I'll disagree. I'll throw mine in. I disagree. I feel like if they are trying to get their tag team titles back, this is a must win. And so hopefully,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, unless Jordan can get his head in the right space.
And that's where you have to rely on Zay Vega to, uplift his partner. So we'll keep a close eye on that. I feel like I'm going to be right, but I'll hopefully get some bragging rights on you at the end of the show. So what about Brino Ali versus Sexy Gouda?
This is going to be a good one. I think Sexy Gouda is one of the good young talents that has been brought into Wrestling Evolution recently.
I agree.
But Brino, it's hard. It's really hard to find a better grappler. He calls himself Earth's finest grappler, and it's hard to argue with that. Brino Ali is one of the best pure athletes in Wrestling Evolution. And again, you throw in that X factor of Ben Grayson, who's out there at the ringside area, and Gouda. I mean, it's not that I'm discounting Gouda at all, because I really love Sexy Gouda. He's a great young talent, and he's tough as hell. I will say that as well, because in his match with Grant Kistel, he broke his nose. He broke Grant's nose. So I think, and I hate to keep giving the nod to the Drip, but I think I'm going to have to end that prediction heading towards the Drip.
Wow. And this one is not anyone in the Drip, so you're not going to lean anywhere here, because it's the Dante Khalifa against Reyhan Inteus. So where are you leaning here?
Yeah, this will be the second time we've seen Reyhan Inteus in Wrestling Evolution. But the Dante Khalifa needs this win badly. Just like we were talking about earlier, he hasn't won since September of 2025, and that eats at a man. And he actually, like at maybe not the last show, but the one before that, it was where Brino had caused the disqualification, so he lost the match. As he's standing in the ring, he looked at me and he said, "I haven't won a match since September." And it's one of those things that you don't really think about that, but he does. That's in there. And that is something that's going to make you doubt yourself. So if anybody needs a win, it's thee. And so I got to go with Dante in this one.
As much as I think Dante is one of the top athletes, not only in Wrestling Evolution, but just in the independent circuit here in the Carolinas, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some outside antics again.
You think there's going to be shenanigans?
I think the Drip's mission is to win all their matches and make sure Dante loses all of his. So
you may be right there.
Until something proves me wrong. Sorry, but I think it goes well for Reyhan. And also Dante, pushed me, when I was doing camera. I think it was my second show. And
that sounds right.
I haven't quite forgiven him for that, but it's okay.
That sounds right. Well, the Drip assaulted me.
Yeah.
And hit me with a chair the night that they were born, basically. So
we've both been on the receiving.
We've both been, yeah.
I know Dante's a different man. Maybe we'll mend our offenses here. But going into some championship action, Dre the Goat defended the Legacy Championship against Grant Kissel, who we brought up minutes ago. Do you think Dre the Goat has a successful title defense?
I think he will. I think he'll successfully defend this. I think it's going to be a hard fought contest. But and like I said, Grant Kissel is one of the most intense guys in Wrestling Evolution that you're going to find out there. But the speed of Dre the Goat is his biggest asset. And the fact that he will put his body on the line. He will put it all out there, just like the way he won the Legacy Championship. He sent Bash Caliban through a door with a Swanton bomb. That was absolutely incredible. He is not afraid to put his body on the line, to go high risk if he has to come up on the winning side. And he just won that title. You're going to have to pry it from his cold dead hands to get it away from him. So I think I'm going to go with Dre the Goat on that one.
And this is the only one where you could flip a coin, but I feel like this might be the shortest Legacy title reign we've had at Wrestling.
You think so? You think Kissel's picking it?
I think as the underdog right here, and Dre's still riding the high of the Legacy Championship, and again he got reinstated and won the championship all in a matter of 30 minutes. I think those circumstances mattered, and I think Grant has prepared for this opportunity. I also feel like James R. Hustle might find a way to get involved. So I got Grant here. The Wrestling Evolution Tag Team Championships, Exodus battling against the Allen brothers. Robert and Steve walking out of the Cleveland County Fairgrounds again as the champions.
Like I said, the Allen brothers are probably the most complete tag team that we've ever seen in Wrestling Evolution. They are almost without peer in the ring. And then you throw in the psychological factor of what they do. They get into your head. And they just like what they did with Hustle and Flow. They could have just had another match, a title shot from Hustle and Flow, but they broke them down over months and months. They attacked them secretly. They would be attacked. Then a couple months later, they would be attacked again. And then they would be attacked again. They silently broke them down without them knowing who was doing it. So Hustle and Flow was almost paranoid, looking over their shoulder the entire time. So the psychological game that they pulled to get them into the spot that they were, where they came back, got a title shot, and became the first two-time champions in Wrestling Evolution history. You take all of that and put it in together, like I said, one of the best tag teams we've ever seen inside the ring. Then you throw in the psychological part of that. I think it's going to be hard pressed for anybody to take those belts out of their hands right now. I think that's going to be me on the side of the Allens.
I have to agree with you. I think
as much as it pains me to say that, you have to understand that, because if they throw their clothes on me again, I'm not going to be happy. But they are a
they back it up. They back it up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement there. I feel like we're just getting started with one of the longest title reigns we've ever seen across any of the championships with the Allen brothers. Because
it's very possible.
Yeah, it's not looking bright if you're not a fan of Robert and Steve. But everybody is a fan of the Cream Pie Poppy. Reyhan Inteus defend the Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Championship against Treehouse Lee. Bring us home, Tim. Who's walking out as the face of the brand?
I think a big part of it depends on who shows up. Is it going to be Reyhan? Is it going to be Ray? Is it going to be Montana? Is it going to be somebody else? Like I said, there's a couple more that even I haven't met. As we're heading into the show, I believe it will be Reyhan. But you never know who's going to show up. If it's Reyhan, if it's Montana, and that's a definite that the title's going to stay. But you have to then question the legality. Okay, if this is a separate personality, is Montana actually the Wrestling Evolution champion, or is just Reyhan? So if Montana's out there, does this become a non-title match? And I don't know the answer to that. So it becomes a gray area. But I think if Reyhan Inteus shows up, I think Treehouse Lee is going to have his hands full, and Reyhan retains.
Or his chest full of Reyhan's hand, because
that
chop.
That is a definite.
that chop is one I do not want to. But also, if Ray shows up, he's 1-0. He's undefeated.
That's true. That is true.
So,
yeah, he's 1-0. So
I can put my money there. But
and he won the game of Connect 4 during the match as well. So technically he's 2-0.
Well, I am a Connect 4 master, so I will challenge Ray in a game of Connect 4 any day. You challenge me, I'll win. You know, put the title on the line. In just Connect 4, I don't want
just Connect 4. Okay,
I do not want to get in the.
You
ring
want to get chopped? No,
not want to get chopped. Tim, you would be down a person on your production team, but Tim, thank you so much for staying with us a little bit later to break down some of these matches that are happening this weekend for Wrestling Evolution No Limits. You can attend live in Shelby, North Carolina at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds. Doors will open at 6 and the show will start at 7. They do 2 TV tapings. So whatever you guys see in person, if you're not able to attend, let's say you live across the country, you will still be able to watch what we talked about today through the Wrestling Evolution YouTube channel. It'll be a few weeks once we get all the production things squared away, and we got to watch some in order. So if you were intrigued by some of the storylines we covered today on the show, you can go back to their YouTube at Wrestling Evolution and find some of these shows that made all these stories possible, and you can really connect to the characters. But if you do appear this Saturday in Shelby. Come say hey to me. I'd love to talk to you. I'm sure Tim will be more than happy to greet you as well. And if not, I just signed him up. So,
Yeah.
and then his partner is Cheesecake. Just
Yes.
go up, ask him the cheesecake flavor of the day. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
But
Ivan will talk to anybody about anything. So
especially cheesecake.
yes.
But
Yeah.
But Tim, appreciate you so much for joining us talking about Wrestling Evolution. If you guys were watching us on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel, you can hit subscribe where we do the Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast. We do so much other content, and we've also are on Spotify now. So you could have watched or listened to us on Spotify, as well as so many other shows. We have shows I'm doing called Heat Talk, defending Dallas, a Cowboy show, but we also have so much more than that. We have basketball, we have Three from Deep, we have baseball, we have Adios Pelota, a San Francisco Giants podcast, and we also have Dugout Debrief, where Chris DeLuca is a diehard Dodgers fan and covers actually all 30 MLB teams on Dugout Debrief. We have Quick Hits, we have so many shows. The only way you can see it is if you subscribe and follow all these shows, but thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope to see you Saturday, and let's go enjoy some wrestling this weekend. Everyone, take care and don't drop the mic, and we'll catch you here next week.